All right, let's dive into this explainer. Today we're looking at a story that kind of completely flips the script on what we think we know about modern media. You know, we're constantly hearing that local journalism is dying, that print is dead, and that local newsrooms just can't compete with the global tech giants. But today, we're looking at how a tiny local newspaper in Norway, which happens to be celebrating its 20th anniversary, is completely defying those global media trends.
Just look at this number right here, 49%. That is a 49% year-over-year growth in pure digital readership. I mean, think about that for a second. In an era where newsrooms are scrambling just to maintain their baseline, this paper is experiencing an absolute digital explosion. It's a complete turnaround, and it proves that local news isn't just surviving. When it's done right, it can absolutely thrive.
To figure out exactly how they pulled this off, we're going to break down this blueprint into 5 parts. First, going against the current. Second, the digital turnaround. Third, what readers actually want. Fourth, the secret sauce of AI and data. And finally, building a network for future readers.
Okay, Section 1. En lokalavis mot strømmen, or a local paper going against the current.
Let's establish exactly who we're talking about here, because the context makes this totally wild. We're looking at Ås Avis, a paper based in Ås. It's a municipality of just 22,500 people, located just a bit south of Oslo. They're an independent paper owned by Media, which is Norway's largest media group, and despite operating in such a tiny market, they've managed to reach 5,800 daily readers across both print and digital. That is an overall total reader increase of 16% in just 1 year. They literally know their community inside and out.
Moving on to part 2, den digitale snuoperasjonen, the digital turnaround.
This really illustrates the shift happening right under our noses. So, traditional print readership dropped by 9.5%. And honestly, that's totally expected these days. But here's the crazy part. They didn't just replace those lost readers, they skyrocketed to almost 3,000 all-digital readers. Out of the 85 different media papers being tracked, this little local paper ranks in the top 3 for overall digital growth. They didn't try to fight the decline of print, they just leaned entirely into the digital wave.
And, this didn't just happen by accident. Editor Henrik Christie makes it perfectly clear here. This takes incredibly hard work. They're not just copy-pasting the print newspaper onto a website. They're actively, strategically working to attract locals digitally. And man, is it working. Today, an impressive 3 out of 4 of their subscribers are entirely digital.
Which brings us to Section 3. Hva vil leserne egentlig ha? What do the readers actually want?
So out of the 900 or so local stories they published in 2025, what made people actually open their wallets? We usually just assume local news is all about the kids' soccer matches or a town hall cultural event, but the actual reading habits? Totally different reality. Readers have this massive, undeniable preference for the local economy, property prices, and, let's be real, nosy neighbor updates. They want the tangible details about the town they actually live in.
Let's look at their top 3 specific stories of the year, because this data is super telling. Number 1, which businesses are moving into a local commercial center? Number 2 was a deep dive into an apartment that sold for a whopping 13.7 million Norwegian kroner, because everybody wants to know who bought that, right? And number 3 was literally just about a new burger bar opening up in the center of town. You can clearly see that locals are highly engaged by their immediate physical surroundings: real estate, local business, and food.
All right, Section 4, hemmeligheten, AI og data, the secret weapon of AI and data.
They didn't just randomly guess that people wanted to read about burger bars. This is where things get really high-tech. They use this highly sophisticated machine learning workflow from Media. A journalist writes the story, and then they A/B test different headlines in real time. But step 3 is where the magic happens. They use an AI model that can predict with 90% accuracy if a specific article will generate new subscriptions. Let that sink in for a second. A small-town paper of 22,000 people is using predictive AI to optimize their journalism.
And the results? They're incredibly motivating for the newsroom. Imagine a journalist uses this data, optimizes an article for maximum local relevance, and boom, that single story generates 20 brand new subscriptions in just 1 day. It proves the concept. It shows these journalists that data-driven journalism isn't about compromising quality at all. It makes a totally tangible, measurable impact on their survival.
Let's move to our final piece of the puzzle, Section 5, networks and the future of readers.
To really get this, we need to zoom out and look at their play for Gen Z. Being part of the Media group means Ås Avis can offer their subscribers something called Plus Alt. It's basically a massive bundled service, giving readers access to over 100 Norwegian newspapers on one single platform. So a subscriber can read their local news, but also check out what's happening in the city they used to live in, or where their cabin is. This network effect drastically increases the value of a single local subscription, pushing their reach into a giant ecosystem of 360,000 users.
But reaching users is really only half the battle, right? The other half is trust. And this chart highlights a pretty terrifying societal trend. Right now, over 1 in 4 young men report having low or literally zero trust in traditional media. Instead, they're turning to social media algorithms, which are often just flooded with misinformation. If a newspaper doesn't fix this trust gap now, they won't have an audience at all in 10 years.
To tackle this head-on, Ås Avis took some really bold action. As editor Henrik Christie notes, they have to actively remind future readers why editor-controlled, verified media is so valuable. So what did they do? They launched a massive initiative giving 15 to 20-year-olds a full year of absolutely free digital access to the paper and to the entire Plus Alt network. They're literally giving their product away for free to build healthy media habits for the future.
So what are these teens actually reading with their free access? Well, they're getting deeply researched, completely neutral information on really pressing local issues. For instance, the paper covered the municipality's recent decision to pause settling refugees in 2026, and they presented that alongside data showing a 60% employment success rate for previous arrivals. They're also digging into alarming drops in the town's climate and health ratings. This free access ensures the next generation has fact-based reporting on the policies directly affecting their everyday lives.
So, to kind of wrap up this explainer, the survival formula for Ås Avis is basically a masterclass in adaptation. 1. They focus relentlessly on what's relevant to their community. 2. They are heavily, unapologetically digital. 3. They leverage big data and AI in a small-town setting. 4. They utilize a massive network to add tons of value. And finally, they're actively investing in tomorrow's subscribers by building trust today.
As we close out this incredible case study on how to thrive in the modern media landscape, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to ponder. When you look at the news in your own community, is your local newspaper ready for the future? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep asking the right questions.